Hey Coaster friends, it's Adam here from Pause Games and welcome back to Planet Coaster 2 and welcome back to Mystic Reef, our waterpark build that we are doing here in the brand new Planet Coaster 2 game. So if you want to enjoy this video, don't forget to give us a like down below and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of the latest Planet Coaster 2 content. Right then, so what are we doing today? We're back inside our lazy river, and as I mentioned in the previous episodes, we are building a lazy river dark ride. Now obviously we haven't got the full functionality of that in the game just yet. We can't have queue lines, we can't have proper entrances to the lazy rivers, but we can make it and people can use it and they can swim around in it, and it's a proof of concept. So that's what we are doing in this video. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might realise and notice there's been a slight upgrade to the footage and the lighting. So, the reason why the videos have been a little bit sparse recently is I've found that my old PC setup just wasn't really cutting it with the game. I was finding it quite hard to build, the lighting wasn't working, had no ray tracing, so I upgraded my graphics card, and that is what we're looking at now. This is the first footage and the first gameplay since I've got the new graphics card. So I'm happy with it. The game's running a lot better, it's looking a lot better, and it just gives us more scope for doing stuff like this, dark rides and underground dark scenes. So that's kind of why I waited, really, to do this this dark ride section. Apologies for anybody there who's got sensitive to flashing lights. I'll put a little warning up actually before that area because I've noticed it's a bit stroby. So what are we doing in there? So we've got one scene inside the lazy river where we've got the animatronics. That's going to be the big budget animatronic for this park. We've got some lighting effects, we've got some propage, we've got some audio which I'm putting in right now. So we've got a mixture of music and sound effects, which we will show off at some point when we do a live portion in this park, I'm sure, and a few bits of sort of lighting. Also at the start of the video, I raised up the path around the edge of the pool just to give it a bit more realism and just sort of give us an area where we can sort of put some props, and eventually down the line we put some paths in. So a path pretty much goes around the entirety of the perimeter of this lazy river by the end of this video. We put in the lifeguards, and we also build some new bridges which cross over the lazy river. So the idea for this sort of concept, anyone that's been to Volcano Bay, the Universal Water Park out in Florida, there is a massive volcano in the middle of the park, which is sort of the big weenie, the big centerpiece. And inside there, you've got a little walkthrough area where you've got some fountains, some waterfalls, some nice lighting, and you sort of get there by crossing these bridges over waterfalls. It's a really cool little area, which is quite secluded. So that's the kind of inspiration I'm taking for this. So that's why we are building a pathway that goes inside here as well as the lazy river. So this path around the edge, we do neaten it up as we go, don't worry, acts as both an access path for the guests and also a place for us to put down the lifeguards, because this pool wasn't lifeguarded before, and as much as we've turned off the need for that in the sandbox, the game still kind of shouts at you for it, and again we want to kind of have realism in this, so we are going to use lifeguards where required. So yeah, the path goes all the way around the edge, lifeguards go in, so this, like I say, can be used for guests and staff, but there's nothing up this one you're looking at now, so guests don't generally go up there, but the other side, into the cave area with the animatronic, we do put a nice little pathway through there, through the cave, which is connected by two bridges either side, so it kind of works like a loop. So I imagine that one guests may use. I mean, in real life they would, but in the game they might use it, or they might just get out, who knows, but it's there anyway. So in terms of what things we need to finish off, the actual bridges themselves, we need to do a bit more work on. I want to put a bit of wood around the edge and some supports just to make them look a bit more themed, so that's definitely something we need to come back to by the end of this video, well, by the end of this build I should say, and so we'll do that again in another video at some point. And then this is the other end of the bridge that goes inside and outside of the little cave area, and I think it works out quite nice. Like I say, it's a nice little walkthrough that I know I'd be into it if I was a guest. At some point, as I mentioned in the previous episodes, when we get to building some little interactive features, we'll put a few in there, but I haven't really got around to building them yet. But my idea is a little bit similar again to Volcano Bay. You have these little tappy points because you are given basically a wristband, which is, it's like a watch, in that park, which acts as your wristband for the lockers. You can pay for food on it. You can use it to virtual queue for the slides. And also, all the way around the park, you've got these little interactive areas where you tap your band against a little panel and it makes a water squirt out somewhere else. So we're going to try and replicate that idea in the game. Obviously, we can't really do it properly, but we can use the sequencer and make a few nice little interactives. So that's something we'll add a little bit later on into the build as we sort of get more into this park. So we're just finishing up a little bit of the pathway here, making the colours work a little bit better. Still a load of work to do on the paths, but generally the little bridge areas are in. We just need to spruce them up a little bit with some theming. So we're just finishing up again a bit of the pathing here. I'm slowly getting used to this pathing tool. Now it's took me many hours, but I'm just about figuring it out. I think that I find it's my approach that I've kind of done in this episode is just spam down the paths and then fix it afterwards. And it seems to work okay, but we'll see as we keep getting into it. So a little bit of subtle lighting there inside the cave, mainly for realism purposes because of the lifeguards. They obviously need to see what they're doing, and because it is a guest path as well, we need to put some lights down. So that's what we did just there. Over here again, a little bit of an extension of that path because we need to put another lifeguard in. So this whole pool now is pretty much covered by lifeguards, so it's nice and safe. A little bit of signage going in now just to sort of indicate what this area is for any guests that do venture over this way. Like I said before, whether they are actually going to venture in here in the game, I don't think they will because there's nothing really in there. Maybe we'll add something in at some point, maybe a slide or something inside this little lazy river area. I don't know. We'll see if we can fit one in. So just this little area at the start of the lazy river. I thought it'd be nice to put a little waterfall in. You generally get these in sort of these big budget kind of theme park water parks, like your Typhoon Lagoons and your Blizzard Beaches. You normally get some features halfway around, big waterfalls and whatnot, and then a few little drips inside the tunnel, just again to give a little bit of something as you're floating around. You're probably not going to see it anyway when you're in here, but I like the idea of some little drips. Again, it's the sort of thing you do get in these kind of things. One thing I did want to sort of replicate, but at the moment I don't think I can figure out a way to do it. I wanted to put a kind of like star cloth, fibre optic kind of effect in the ceiling in that cave. I can't really think of a way to do it currently, but I do want to have another go at that at some point, because I think that'd be quite nice to look up and have a nice little sort of star cloth effect. I love a good fibre optic, I do. Okay, so we leave the lazy river for another episode now, and we'll come back to that and finish up that another time. Like I said before, I like to just jump around and keep things fresh. So what we are building over to the opposite side of the lazy river entrance. Originally, when I started building this, it was going to be a food unit. I was actually going to build a little food area, but that didn't happen. I ended up building some little, I guess they'd be like VIP areas, gazebos, or I don't know what you class them as, but it's kind of like, you know, the area where you could pay an upcharge in a water park and you get like a private cabana. That's the word I'm looking for. You get a private cabana. So this is the first bank of these we're going to build. There's going to be some various different ones around, and these are the blue themed ones. We're going to have them different colours depending on which area of the park they are. So I did have a very slight reference image up when I built this. It's just some, I think I used ones in either Aquatica or I think it might have been Volcano Bay. There's a little area, they have a few of these raised up. The general shape of these things is pretty common, but yeah, I thought we'd stick a few of these in, and I think it's turned out alright, to be fair. We have to take some liberties with some of the pieces, and sort of, you'll see in a minute when we put the details inside, because we haven't really got full access to all the little tiny little bits and pieces yet, as the game is still relatively new and we don't have that much sort of DLC yet, and still trying to figure out how to make stuff out of the pieces we've got. So that's what we do in a moment. I love these top pieces of the thatch. The thatch set is so nice. It's great that I finally got a chance to use it, actually. Anyone that watched my Planet Coaster 1 park will know I had a lot of trouble with thatch, so it's nice to know we've got it in the game now. So using some of these to make some stairs. These aren't going to be accessible, I guess, in the game, but I wanted to at least them be realistic enough to look like they could be, if that makes sense. So one thing I will mention, actually, back to while we're building this, in terms of the graphics card that I mentioned before, the game runs a lot smoother now. I was having a bit of trouble before with a bit of lag, and every time I picked a piece out of the menu it kind of paused, and it made building really difficult. So like I said before, that's kind of why there's not been as much content over the last couple of weeks. That and the fact I've been really busy in my real life job, so it's kind of fitting in here and there. But now I've got this new graphics card in, and I feel like we can start really sinking our teeth into this game, and it bodes well for my big project, which I'm hopefully going to start soonish, I think, which is recreating the Alton Towers Waterpark, which is a big water park located in the UK at the Alton Towers Resort, for anybody that doesn't know. So this is kind of my test to see what we can do before we start building that. So that's why this series exists, to get used to the game and find some pieces, and hopefully you can see as each episode goes on, we're sort of getting more and more detailed. That's the plan anyway. Talking about the details, here we are inside. So that little unit I put at the back there, I kind of wanted to emulate a fridge, so that's kind of what that is. The sun loungers are, or at least from my testing here, I couldn't get them to work on anything other than a path, so I had to use these benches, which I could use, and I've scaled them up. So they're a bit big, and they kind of look like a big bench, but it kind of gives the vibe of a sun lounger, I think. On top of that fridge, in quote-unquote commas, I thought I'd stack up some towels, and there on the bed is, again, a towel or a bit of rubbish that a guest left. Again, all these little random bits of detail we got to shove in now and again, haven't we, to give it a little bit of something, I guess, if you're walking past. Not that we'll ever notice it or come look back at these again, but there you go. So like I said, a few extra little details here to give it a little bit of slight variation, and then I realised didn't put any feet on them, so we go back and do that. Like I said, we'll have a few more of these little areas around the park in various different styles and various different colours, just to give us something. But I do really need to start building like some actual infrastructure in terms of shops and restaurants and things. So hopefully, I think I'll say hopefully, it's up to me, innit? But we'll probably do that in the next episode and get some buildings done, because I enjoyed doing the building today. So it was a good sort of starter point to sort of get us going with this style of this kind of like tropical tiki vibe, which I really like. I love that aesthetic in the real world, to be fair. So you kind of be really playful with it, because you can mix a load of different styles. Like the sort of blue colouring on the wood, I think works really well. It's like a beach, like a distressed wood. So you can be really quite liberal actually with what you do. And then we just put a nice bit of foliage around the back. And again, this foliage set, the tropical stuff is so nice. And the fact that you can scale everything, it's just everything just works so much better. A few little fake paths, and that finishes off our build. So little shorter episode today. So again, apologies, but I thought I needed to get a video out, as we've not had one of these for a while, because like I said, we've been upgrading the computer. So we've done the gazebos. We've done a little bit more work over at our Mystic River, which again still needs a little bit more work. We'll keep coming back to this here and there, but at least now we've kind of got the general basis of it done. We've added, like I say, a bit more theming. We've got some effects, got these bridges, and the main thing is now it's safe, because there are some lifeguards. And our dark ride section here with our big animatronic dude is in there. We've got, like I say, a little bit of lighting, a little bit of audio. There's nothing special. Like it's just to give us something. And this is the scene, ideally, if I can figure out how to do some fibre optics, we'll do something in that ceiling at some point. So that's going to do us for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to give us a like down below and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of the latest Planet Coaster 2 content. I'll try and get episodes out a little bit quicker, and I'm going to work on some longer episodes now. We've got the graphics card situation sorted. So thank you for watching, folks. See you in the next one. Bye.